Hello everyone, on today's video we're going to be showing you the differences between a weapon and a weapon mount. Now, I was noticing over on Discord a couple of days ago, some people were kind of caught up on the whole concept of, well, I want to add things to the loadout on an airplane. Now, as we all know, we can't just willy-nilly add things to a loadout on an airplane. If I were to, for example, quickly create myself a handy-dandy airfield here, airfield, grab this one, doesn't matter. You'll notice that if I were to come over here and, let's say, add an airplane to it, and grab myself F6, yeah, that sounds good to me. I just need one of them for my demonstration purposes here. If I go over here, press this button right here, and go ahead and say ready arm. Let's go. Oh, let's see here, ready arm. You can see I have not a lot of choices here. Whatever they have here is what we're going to get for that particular mission. Now, the reason this is important is an aircraft such as my MiG-28 right here. You have to remember that if I do have a specific loadout, I can't change the loadout, land the plane, and then have it keep that loadout when I get in the air. If I intend to have a modified loadout on it, I actually have to edit it in mid-flight. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab my MiG-28 right here, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the weapons button. What you're going to notice here is we have two different things here. We have the internal loadout. This is the bit that's always attached. And then below that, we have the actual loadout. Think about this as the stuff dangling off the wings. Now, the reason this is important is you'll notice that when I click on my 20 millimeter here, see down here it says add weapon record, add mount. If I come over here where it says loadout, you'll notice it says add weapon record, add mount. But if I click here, you'll notice it says add mount. That's because everything is handled in a slightly different way. If you want to think about it another way, our little AIM-9s here, this is the weapon. The 4 out of 4 is the actual mount, and then the loadout, the total bid here, is actually the one that you have up here. So the reason that's important is because of this. Let's say I want to add on an AIM-120 to my MiG-28 right here. I guess I would have to add one of the Alamo missiles or something like that, but I'm going to do an AIM-120 because science. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, and I'm going to press Add Weapon Record. You're going to notice if I come in here and type in AIM-120, we'll go get a 120D because I'm a silly person. You'll notice all the possible combinations, including some of these very absurd options like this. Keep in mind, things that have rate of fires of 60 are usually things like magazines that do reloading. They're not intended to be utilized like this. So if I grab this, yeah, we'll carry 8 of those, because why not? As aided misses a data link, would you like to add one? So one of the new features they actually added, which is absolutely fantastic because we didn't used to have this in command, is you'll notice if I add a data link weapon, it will automatically offer to add it onto our aircraft. I'm actually going to click yes right now. And what they're going to do is they're going to say, is this the one you want to add? And you say, yeah, that's the one I want to add. And what they'll do is they'll actually stick that in there. But what you'll probably observe is this is the wrong data link. So when we do this, we need to make sure that we actually search by the appropriate item here. Now, if you skip that step, you're going to find that you have no control over the weapon itself. It's worth noting here that there's actually different types of AIM-120. You have the command data link, which tells it what to do. You have the missile data link, which sends information back. And then, of course, you have the two-way versions as well. And then you have the really, really absurd off-board version, which allows you to do silly things like launch guide missiles with a CEC cooperative engagement here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in that one. That's the only one that needs to be here because this is going to be the one sending data to the weapon. Or did I just get it backward? No, I was right. Command is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and close that real quickly. And we're going to go back to the weapons. And you're going to observe the fact that I now have a bunch of these AMRAAMs ready to rock. Now, the easiest way to make sure you didn't get the data link thing backwards is if you scroll down, you'll see it says AIM-120 missile data link 2A. Do you see what I did there? I got it backwards. And that's one of the traps that a lot of times people will fall into. So one of the problems is if I come in here and I want to click on this, there's going to be no button to remove this. One of the downsides, of course, is we can't eliminate a loadout. It's kind of stuck on us whenever we're dealing with airplanes. So what I have to do is I'd have to come in here and go ahead and say AIM-120D. Go ahead and give me one of them. I didn't realize you could get just one of them. That's kind of a nice touch. Now notice it's warning us that we got the wrong data link because we needed the two-way data link. Now, if I click filter by keyword, do you see how it actually gives us the correct one here? That is the important bit there that we do need to make sure we catch. This one right here is actually worthless. I can actually take it off, and there's going to be no consequence to me at all. The upside downside is now I have 9 AMRAAMs on my MiG-28 here, so it's quite a few. Obviously, this is more than we normally need. Now, where this gets really, really, really complicated, and I want to make sure everybody's very clear here, is even though we have the appropriate data link to actually communicate to this weapon to get it to track, we don't necessarily have a radar that can guide a particular type of weapon. So let me show you what I mean. Let's say I'm going to go up to loadout real quickly here. I'm going to go ahead and add a weapon record, not a mount. And I'm going to add in, we'll do an AA-10 here. Keep it nice and simple. You'll notice all these lovely AA-10s. There's plenty of varieties here. We'll grab this one right here quick. Now, we can't guide this weapon. Now, if you weren't aware of this particular weapon, if we're actually to go pop this up real fast, I'll go ahead and click on that. Is it going to bring it up? Absolutely. You'll notice here that it has a missile data link again. If we did not add that data link, even though we have a data link for the AIM-120, they won't necessarily communicate with each other. Now, this can get really, really, really tricky. If I grab something like an AIM-7, for example, you'll notice it's an SARH seeker, which means we actually need to make sure that our radar is capable of broadcasting the proper frequency for this weapon to guide at all. So one of the common mistakes people make when they start experimenting with loadouts and editing things to make a game more challenging or whatever they're trying to do there, you have to remember, if you get this part wrong, you're not going to get any launches. So it's actually very, very critical. You'll notice, I'll run the example here because it's important you see it. Let's add more stuff to this aircraft because why not? AIM-7P, I like the P2 if I can get it, but I'll stick with AIM-7 Notice it did not ask me at all about adding anything about a radar. As a matter of fact, if I click the SARH link here, it's not even going to tell me, unfortunately, what particular item that this is going to be guided with. So we might fire this weapon and discover we're not able to get a sufficient illumination to actually even launch it, even though we put it on there and it didn't yell at us for not having the appropriate data link. So kind of keep those pieces in mind when you start experimenting. Now, the other thing people like to do is they like to add in air-to-ground weapons. They're like, oh, it'd be awesome if I had a GBU-12. Yeah, GBU-12. Ooh, we have the D model. Yeah, I'll take one of those. Our MiG-28 is a Wunderplan, Wunderluft, or whatever the equivalent would be. I don't speak German, as you know. So now we have this lovely guided weapon, which has a laser spot tracker, but we have no laser spot tracker technology. So this is when people get really, really sophisticated. They're like, well, what if I do targeting pod? Let's see, a T-pod. What's the one everybody likes to use? You have the sniper. So let's go ahead and put on the sniper pod, which is actually two components, but sniper pod. Ta-da! So now I have everything that I need on my lovely MiG-28 here for the purposes of dropping weapons, firing these different types of weapons, except for the Alamo, because like I said, we don't actually have the data link on this weapon, and all these other options that you have here. Now, some people at this point like to say, well, what if I want to put a 30mm cannon on it? Well, you could do that. Now, the difference here is, remember, we've been dealing with weapon records here. Again, that's the thing that holds a group of weapons. If we want to actually add to this, we'd have to actually hit the Add Mount button. Now, notice there's some pretty neat stuff here. We can also define, of course, the arc of which we wish to employ this weapon, and we can actually go in here and define. So for us, obviously, we're looking for the 30mm. Let's see here, 2A42. Yeah, no, that's not for us. Let's see here. China, DEFA, I always forget. It's GAO 8, I think it's correct, right? I always get this one wrong. Ah, there it is. GAO 8. Sounds good to me. Boop. So not only do we have a GAO 8 now, but if I turn on the arcs, I accidentally set my arc up to be very wide. So not only can we engage this aircraft like a Uberplan, we now have the ability, of course, to fire any direction in front of us with it. Keep in mind, this is independent of the rest of this. Now, let me show you the big important point here. I'm actually going to order it with this guy to go flying back to base. Hey, get back to base. So let's run inside real quickly here. I'm just going to grab him. I'm not going to order him to do anything silly. Ready are. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go ahead and set time to ready. 01. So he's going to be ready in about a minute. I always think of the superheroes. Super best friends. All right, let's grab this one. He's 2 hours and that many times? I don't think so. Let's go ahead and set him to 1 minute. And we'll allow 1 minute to go by. That was plenty of 1 minutes to go by. Grab him right now. I'll go ahead and order my MiG-28 to launch. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Just give it a few moments, and there he is. Now he's airborne. Now, if I click on this chap, like I was saying a few minutes ago, remember all that lovely stuff we did? It's gone. You'll notice down here that all the original weapons are there, except that my GAO 8 is still attached. Now, because it's still attached, that's because when we created it, we added it to the unit itself. We didn't add it to the loadout to the unit. So it's important that you see the difference between those two so you don't get sneaky in that regard. So that's it for aircraft. And like I said, aircraft are tricky. Again, if I go over to comms, for example, you're going to notice I got to keep my data link, even though I can't fire AIM-120s right now because I don't have any. Now, if we're dealing with an aircraft, in this case, I've got my Q ship here. This is my container commercial vessel. It's a great little ship for this particular demonstration here. Right now, it's just chilling in the water, just sort of relaxing. Now, the thing is, we can do the same exact process here. I can go up to weapons. Notice we have to add a mount. There's nothing to stick this to. So a lot of people say to me, though, well, what mount should I add here? Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to do a VLS? In which case, there's plenty of choices as far as a VLS goes. Let's see, Mark 41, the Mogami. Let's see which one do I want. The Bradenburg. Let's type. Here we go, TDG Flight 1. Boop. And now, of course, I have a Tomahawk firing capability here. Now, if I want to have some fun, of course, let's say I want to modify this. I could come up to this. Again, that's going to happen when you click it the first time. I could actually change the number of weapons here. I'll drop that down to 0. I'll go run over to my SM. Which one do I want? To Block 3? Yeah, heck yeah, I went to Block 3. Give me some Block 3s. Boop. And now you can see I have 29 Block 3s. I'll go up here to the rims. Let's see here, 23, that would be 6, I think. That's about the best. Yeah, 29 out of 29. We're ready to rock. Now, of course, we have no way to guide them, hence the problem that I was mentioning many times before. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go over to sensors. You'll notice we have a couple of generic navigation radars here. We're going to go ahead and say SPY. Of course, this is the correct one we want to use. Ooh, NCTR upgrade. Sounds good to me. Go ahead and toss that sucker on there. I made it face all directions. And now, of course, if I turn on my radars here, I should have the capability of actually illuminating things around me. And if I zoom out, you can see no difficulty with that whatsoever. As a matter of fact, we've detected a target over there. I'm going to order them to be hostile, and you're going to notice that our cruise ship here is going to sit here relaxing. Yep, we're definitely in range. I guess I'll order an attack. Aha! You'll notice we have a 307-second delay before we're actually able to engage that target, because just because you put all the weapons on the platform does not automatically mean that platform can deploy it. So I'm going to go ahead and let that time expire. I'm going to go ahead and lock on again. And here we go. Just like I was saying in the beginning, the mandatory data link is still required. So again, if you're not sure about what data link you need, the nice thing is I can click on this, scroll down, and it's going to let me know it's an Aegis missile data link. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our Q ship here, go back to sensors. Actually, I'm sorry, this is a comms thing. We have some really, really exciting things coming up now. Aegis data link, and as you can see, there's like 50 of these different things. And obviously, if we get it wrong, we're going to have difficulty with that. So it's just kind of some of the fun here. Go ahead and pause that one in there. Let's see, two-way, that's the SSN version. SPY, that's the two-way version. I probably got the wrong one, but that's just what happens when you try these things. Shift F1, no weapons director available to illuminate the target. So what I'm trying to emphasize here and trying to make my point is that this could be very, very, very challenging in order to find all the different components you need. For those of you who've never seen the command database, like what it actually looks like to edit, it's intense. When you come in here and I click on an option like this and it's all neatly, prettily formatted, you don't realize that you're pulling from like 60 different types of basically databases in order to populate the information that you're looking at right here. It's a tremendous amount of detail going on in here. And when you don't see that, it becomes hard to see, why does this not work? Why does this not work? Why does this not work? Because for everything else to work correctly, it needs to be self-integrated. Now, one thing I want to say too, before I kind of end our video here too, is you'll notice there's some changes to communications. I just want to kind of give everybody a little heads up about this. You're going to notice we have a lot more properties about communications, because this is going to play a much bigger point in the game coming up pretty soon, something we can be excited about. Then the last one, of course, is if you go up here, you'll notice this new add reference point at function, where you can actually dial in the decimal degrees in order to put something at a specific point. Enjoy.